Thermal imaging. We got orange, red, yellow, blue, blacks in there. We got all kinds of things. This is set up to white, hot, black, cold. So I should be orange, red, and yellow. You guys see me in that screen, and everything around me should be blue and black. When we take me out of the picture, it's going to create those trees to be orange, red, and yellow, and it's going to fluctuate the temperatures based on whatever's inside the screen. Sorry, you guys don't need to see my Google notifications. But that's kind of how that works. It's going to go based off of whatever is inside the screen. What are we looking for in this? Blue or black spots to actually start moving on their own. There's going to be very still areas behind me. Obviously the tree is not going to move, but if a blue spot were to actually come across my face, obviously that's going across a very warm area. It's going to be very easy to detect. So what's cool about this is it actually records a full video with audio. So you guys are going to get this full video back to you. So even though we might not see things in real time, I blow it up on my TV and I'm looking at every little spectacle of it based on the hot spots that we find. Now you guys are going to collect about 8 hours worth of data. I'm not going to go through all 8 hours because I do 2 tours a night, okay? There's not enough hours in a day. I'm going to go to our hot spots, and I don't get excited about one tool going off. I get excited that one tool went off in real time, and I look at the timestamps on the other devices in order to find those extra things that actually happened. This is actually going to go off to you. You've been eyeballing it since I started moving it around. Now, your finger just went over the camera. Good job. So, it's actually right here at the edge.
Oh, okay.
You're going to hold it horizontal just like that. Nope, horizontal all night long. You see the red square on the screen? It's a button.
Red square. Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, so if that turns into a circle, you need to tap it again and let me know because I don't have to splice 2 videos together for you.
Okay.
So when you do that, it takes me a lot longer time. A lot of times, some people will not tell me, and then I have 14 or 15 videos to splice together, and then they wonder why I didn't get them their data back in on time when I told them. Because it takes a lot of time to do that.
Are you listening?
Yeah, so
It's a lot of pressure.
if it,
Don't screw it up.
tell me that one more time so I don't.
If it turns to a circle, tap it again and let me know.
Okay.
Very simple.
All right. If the
Turn circle, tap it.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
make
let 'em
sure it's a
know.
square all night long.
Okay.
All right.
Does Max need to take over? Exactly.
I got it. I got it.
Well, there's somebody that gets
Hey,
paired up with him.
there's a really cool thing that just went right in front of your face.
Oh, Big John. What's his bar?
That was his bar. We're going to talk about Big John. EMF meters. So these are pretty common on your ghost hunting shows. This is our first indication that something is actually happening around us. So it doesn't record anything. However, there are 3 different types of electromagnetic fields that it will measure. It does not separate them. We kind of have to figure it out and debunk it right on the site. So the first one is natural from the earth. That's why it's green. It's not doing anything. The second thing that it will measure is our cell phones, our wiring, the buildings around us, those kind of things. So if it's actually, if we're too close to something like my cell phone, it will give off a pulse. Excuse me. We don't want a rhythm. We don't want that kind of pulse. We want it to be a little erratic. We want it to be crazy. So when it's crazy is when you need to speak up. You think you can handle that?
Sure.
He's like, yeah. He's like, I think I got this.
Got it.
All right, let's stick with the thermo for a second, just because I think you're gonna need a buddy, which is fine by me. So we want to kind of debunk things on site. We want to make sure like whatever we're seeing in real time is the real deal, or if we're gonna find out if it's fake or not. So we're gonna actually go through 2 different types of temperatures. We all know what one of these is by now, right? Okay, it's only gonna measure surface temperature. Okay, so I don't know what the temperature is between the gun and the dot. It's only going to measure what the cement block is. So that's where this guy comes into play. This actually measures humidity and ambient air temperature. Luke, was it?
Luke, yes.
Okay, so let's say Luke's standing where I am. He says, hey Nick, there's a blue spot on the wall. Let's figure out what the heck's going on there. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the surface all the way across. If it's the same temperature, I now know that the blue spot that he's seeing is between him and the wall. Does that make sense to everybody? It's not the building. So we're going to actually take this guy and find where that blue spot is based on the probe at the top. So because you're already somewhat tech savvy with him, you're going to be palling around and helping him out. Okay. So our first location, 2 guys that we go to besides Big John, is kind of a practice area. It's haunted, don't get me wrong, but there's not a whole lot of ton of history there. So I'm actually going to tell you what's going on, and then I'm going to bounce around with all of you to answer any questions and show you the techniques that should be used with each device. You were the first one to raise your hand as a skeptic, correct?
Probably.
Maybe. So spirit boxes, we're going to use several. What are spirit boxes? They're basically FM radio sweepers. And on your TV shows, they have them set very fast, so it's a very staticky type noise that you're going to hear, right? Well, you guys don't watch those shows, so I can't really bring that up.
Is it in Ghostbusters?
No, they don't. Use them in Ghostbusters. He's going to reference everything in Ghostbusters.
Bravo.
Just fine. I do a couple of Ghostbuster jokes later on. So, again, somewhat scripted, not completely. So this, I'm going to actually, because you guys aren't used to it, I'm actually going to turn it on and kind of give you a gist of what it'll do. What we're listening for on this guy is any type of message that's going to come through. So a DJ, a song lyric, a commercial, any of those things. I haven't turned it up yet. I can see you listening intently. So we're listening for that radio chatter to come through. It's a big deal. It might not mean anything, but at the same time, it could mean everything of what's happening around us. So we get it sweeping. So you're going to hear that radio chatter come through. And I'm listening for anything I can actually make out. So if I can make it out, it's a possibility it could be a message or part of another message based on the other devices that are actually going on. So I usually put 2 people on this. So this is actually going to go with the 2 of you. So we're listening for anything.
Will you and I be partners? Will you and I be partners? And I'll
That device that I just handed them is also going to record the entire radio suite. So it's not going to record any of us. So again, I'll have to look at the timestamps based on where we were on the video and the audio to see where we actually were and see what if the message actually makes any kind of sense. So, does that make sense to everybody? All right, let's stick with spirit boxes. Where's my Frady cats again?
Well, right. Can Judd and I, can we partner on this instead? He's a little apprehensive about holding it. So
I'll take it.
Can we you want to hold it instead, what?
Yeah.
Maybe
That's fine.
Judd and I can do something very low key, right? Okay, low key.
So let me reassure you guys, because I do get a lot of people that are afraid to come on this tour because it is
All right, listen
finding
up,
actual
Judd.
proof of the paranormal.
Right.
It's not scary. I'm not here, like the places we're going, like we're not going to any malevolent spirits, we're not going to anything that's dark and demonic. Like we don't do things like that on this tour. We don't provoke spirits. Like this is something I truly believe in.
Right.
So when I find evidence, it's exciting. And so do you think this would be a little much for you guys?
No, and it's not for me. I just want to make sure he's not.
Yeah.
So yeah. So no,
Okay.
we're gonna give it a shot, aren't we, dude?
Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
All right, so this one does the exact same thing. It just
Okay.
doesn't record.
Perfect. Okay.
So this one only has one button.
Okay.
It's on the back of the speaker. You can move this however you want to,
Okay.
but you can't control the volume. So
Okay.
if I say yours is a little loud, we're going to be near some horses.
Okay.
So you just cup it.
Okay. Oh,
Open it up
okay.
a little bit.
Perfect. Okay.
There you go.
Got it. Okay. Are you ready?
Wait, what did you say this one does right here?
This, I'll tell you.
So
This
you're-
measures surface temperature.
I don't know.
and
I
then
know this one. I know
That one's in between it.
Oh,
Yeah, that's open air. So it's going to measure the air temperature based at the top probe. See the thing sticking out the top?
yeah.
So you and I can talk about this place. So let's
Yeah,
say,
'cause you guys are going to be.
let's say we see something blue go like this,
Yeah.
It just turns it on.
and so you want to measure that
So you're just
wall,
gonna
and you
leave it
see,
on,
okay, is there anything
kinda
blue
keep
on
it
there? If the answer is no, it's the same temperature. That means it's between here and there, and that's where you use this to say, okay, where do we find it? Okay.
4 degrees different.
All right.
The adult to kid ratio here is a little off.
Not sure what he said.
He's here every night.
Oh, he is.
He's home. All right. The neuralizer for Men in Black. I need you all to stare right there. You guys not see Men in Black either?
Yeah.
Okay. I got a couple of jokes. We got to keep it light.
Back.
It's actually a grid pen. So what does
Yeah.
this guy do? This actually helps us see things that we can't see with the naked eye. See how you can't see the lasers until something passes through it? It's exactly how this guy operates. Now, these are lasers. They are very bright when it gets darker, and they shoot very, very far. So I normally go straight to the adults with this guy, but we've run out of adults. Too young. We're going to go with you. So,
Yeah, hey.
the rules to lasers, you definitely want to go straight down and keep it within 5 feet in front of you on the ground only. Really, you're not staring at the dots on the ground. You may have to change your batteries. We'll do that at the first location. But you're really looking at in between the pen and the ground. So I'll kind of show you more about that here when we get to the first location. Again, there's always a million questions when we get to that first location, which is why I bounce around.
Wait, you said you have 2 tours tonight?
Yeah, I need 2 tours every day.
There's a 9
Yeah,
o'clock.
there's a 9 o'clock too.
So I figured we'd go Twilight.
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
pretty freaky, isn't it? Why not like 2 a.m.?
Depends. It's gonna get dark here in about 10 minutes anyway. We have another one. So this one is
Ooh.
also a laser, but this one is a grid. Why is it a grid? So in the event we actually capture something here, and I have a picture of it or it's on video, I can then put it in 3D software and you have a full picture of the apparition that we caught.
Damn.
Now, I haven't caught anything with this guy yet, so hopefully you're gonna be my lucky one.
How long have you been doing this?
I've only had that device for a couple of months. So, but I've been doing this for almost a decade.
So what made you interested in this? I mean, like,
He's a writer.
So,
I know he's a writer, but like,
when I was a kid, no one ever believed the things that I was seeing and hearing because
Yeah.
I was raised in a very strict religion.
Oh,
So it
okay.
was almost sinful for me to be able to see
say
that.
that,
Right.
yeah, okay.
So again, as I got older, became an adult,
Right.
started writing,
Okay.
it was one of those things that just kind of kept going.
okay, that's interesting. Are you from Charleston?
No.
Okay.
All right, so lasers. Let's stop with the rules now. So lasers are actually meant to be set up in a room to be still with the camera videotaping it, and that's it. So waving it around and pointing it out, that'll get me arrested very, very quickly. That's why I usually hand it off to adults, as you guys can see. So lasers are a definite, straight on the ground, nice and still, perfect. Up to 5 feet in front of you only. So, last but not least, it's you, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. This
Mr.
is a
Steady
digital
Hands.
camera. I know that these are a little past your technology time, before your technology time. There are 2 buttons, on and off, and obviously to take the picture. The rule of thumb is none of your family can be in the picture. None of you guys signed waivers, and I don't do legalities. So if somebody ends up in a picture where we actually catch an orb or an actual apparition, I cut those people out. I can be in all the pictures, it doesn't matter, I'm in the media anyway. Apparently I'm in the newspaper and don't even know it. So, but again, when we take pictures, I'll give you direction, I'll give all of you direction for each location on which devices are going to do what at which location.
Okay.
And kind of take it from there.
How many locations are there?
Total of 7. So we'll spend about 10 to 15 minutes in each one based on the activity that's going on.
Perfect.
So that's why I do like the 30-minute in between, so that way it gives me time to sanitize all the equipment for the next group. I can get back to my vehicle, so forth and so on. Did you guys say you live here? You guys all live here?
Hold on, George. We live here part-time and they're visiting.
Okay. So, we started here for a reason. This place used to be called Big John's back in the 1970s. Big John was a football player for the 1947 Giants. I'm not a sports guy, so again, just one of those little facts that he's from Charleston. He used to sit in the back of the bar, and he used to nod off to the bartender if the cadets that came over from the Citadel were of age or not. But one night, he told the bartender to cut these 2 guys off, and they got mad and left. The next night, they come back, and they steal the cash register from the front of the bar. Big John pulls out his gun, he wrestles with one of the gentlemen, and he gets shot. The bullet ricocheted and landed in the wall. Now, it is not the ghost of the person that got shot or even died in this place that actually haunts it. It's that bullet hole. It is the paranormal activity that is attached to that bullet hole because it is still here. At times, they say, some people will actually get sick from sitting in front of this bar. Doing dizzy, queasy, lightheadedness, those kind of things. I bring this up on purpose. So, the reason why I bring this up is because I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect any of you. I don't say this to scare you. I told you this is not a scary tour, but if somebody's feeling the least bit of any of those things, even the smallest bit of a headache, I do need to know. It's a very big deal. I will move you to a safer area, and we'll probably move the whole group on into something a little lighter. Yes, sir? Okay, it's not a problem. This is more about feeling dizzy and not being able to stand up straight.
I feel
So
good.
sneezing will probably be perfectly fine.
Huh? We
So-
should try more.
Oh, no bad.
Also, allegedly, we had a big earthquake here, guys, in 1886. So that earthquake,
Huh?
a piece of the
Okay.
mansion that cracked off,
You sure?
and struck somebody in the head, and apparently that's where the first death of the earthquake occurred. So their ghost is said to be seen right here on East Bay Street. I don't have the proof, but
We're good.
everything okay?
Yeah, we're good.
We're gonna opt out. So we're gonna let them, and we're gonna meet them back.
We're good.
home. So.
You Sure?
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
Wait, where's the device at?
I got it right here.
Okay.
Okay. So what we can
All right, Judd, you're
Is
good,
the
dude.
bullet hole in the building?
It is. The bullet hole is there. The bullet is no longer there. So what we can probably do is pass, because you're going to need to stay focused on
Okay.
that, pass the spirit box off to these two guys.
Who
since
wants
they
the spirit
have-
box?
So that way they can both listen. Guys, on the back of that speaker is a button. Did I scare him off too quickly?
No,
No,
he's been apprehensive all week. So
Yeah,
we just
he's
said,
always
look,
trying to
anytime you want to cut bait,
Gotcha.
it's fine.
He's
So it's
scared
better.
of ghosts.
Okay.
It's better. Way better.
I just get a little worried about stuff like that. That's all.
No. We talked about it for a long time, and it's fine. It's cool.
Yeah, he
Just
hasn't-
proceed.
He didn't want to go in the
Proceed like he wasn't even here. It's all good.
Okay. All right. On the back of the speaker, guys, is how you turn it on. So again, I will say spirit boxes up when we're ready for spirit boxes, and that, again, I'm going to give you guys specific direction as we roll along anyway. So
I'm a good guy.
Now,
Wait, is this the first location?
yeah, and I start here so that I can bring up that example of people not feeling well. So I do that on purpose.
does the if this thing were to stop, would the timer stop too at the
No,
top?
don't pay any attention to the timer.
Okay, so it's really just that red box.
It's just
and
that red box.
If it turns into a circle, will it stay red?
Yeah, it'll still be a red circle.
Yeah,
It'll
you've
just fill
never
it.
taken a video before.
That was you.
Well, I know normally like it's green when it's video, and then it's red when it's not. That's why I'm just
Yeah,
making sure.
everything's red.
I don't want to screw it up for
You'll be
everybody.
fine. Correct. Yeah, so go ahead and hit it. So it's already sleeping. So that's all you got to do is turn it on and off with that one button. Okay? All right. You guys ready to go ghost hunting?
I'm
All right.
ready.
We're going to go this way.
Ready.
Wait, do you go on the
You had it first. That's what it was. I'm like, you have a blue mark in front of you.
You could just say to people who are annoying you, just say, hey look, I see a man walking past your screen. He looks like he's about to slap you. And then slap him.
So what I didn't show you guys yet, sorry I got distracted by them leaving, are the tools that I'm going to use. So I do have a backup EMF meter in case that one actually battery drains, and it's great in a pinch. I use two different spirit boxes on my phone. Now I'll explain them very, very quickly. It's going to give us words right here in the center of the screen one at a time, and then it's going to save them all to a list. Okay? 80% of this doesn't mean anything. Most of it's BS. Okay? It's meant to be that way. That's what it is. It's a game and a hoax. We're going to clear out last night's tour and start you guys off fresh because they already have their list. In the event we have a word or phrase that is actually relative to where we are or something happening around us, then I will actually give you that verifiable evidence. Okay? I'm not going to highlight all the terms, yada, yada, yada. The second one that I use is a reverse spirit box. This one I use because I'm already recording this as an audio so that you guys remember your tour first off, or you can listen for EVPs. Those are voices we can't hear with the natural ear. I also use this one because I like to give you an audio piece on this guy. So how this works is it's literally a man and a woman saying random words, and then they flip the audio backwards so it sounds like complete gibberish. In the event I actually get an intelligent answer, the spirits will use that static or those words to actually flip the noise and sound so that we get an audible answer, and it comes through in forward motion. So I'm going to turn this up so you guys all get a gist of what this sounds like. I don't know if I think she's trying to pull it. This isn't really a parking lot for her, but so trying to get a gist of what that sounds like. I'll go around the whole group here. So it's kind of creepy. Again, should sound like complete gibberish. So all I have to do is turn the volume up and down, and I can use both of those spirit boxes at the same time. So that way I have 2 points of questioning. So, a couple of things here. The Crew Cafe, they say they have a suicidal haunting. I don't have enough evidence that says that. It's also used to be a slave home, so I don't know if that's a rebuild, a reconstruct, or an addition. I have no idea what's going on with the plat of land. So I'll probably turn down the full investigation. I was supposed to have done it already, but thanks COVID for interrupting everything. History buffs, there's a stop sign right past the Crew Cafe. Revolutionary War, Charleston was much skinnier. Ship rolls up, shoots a cannon, lands right at the stop sign. No deaths, no tragedies, but we did find pieces of cannonball there, and it was a neighborhood even during those times. So it's kind of ironic that there was no deaths or tragedies. I'm sure somebody got injured, but there's no record of it. So, very interesting little weird fact. So, where are we now? This is what I call the red barn lot. This is where they keep the horses for the carriage rides. Those of you with lasers, all of you with lasers, need to keep those lights out of the windows of the barn. You will spook the horses, they are inside. We don't want to have them kick and then scare the bejesus out of all of us. Again, not so much of a scary tour as it is in real life. So, this is also the same red barn where they used to have the horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So if that kind of dates it for you, we're talking like 1860s to 1920s. That's all there is here as far as history. So here's what I get when I'm normally here. I normally get Big John's teammates will come through often. I'll get stable kids that want to tell me a story. Got killed, horse kicked, you know, whatever the case was. But it's just completely random in here. It's also a great place for all of you to see what your devices are capable of and for me to answer any questions you guys have. So let's kind of talk about the spirit boxes for a second. Spirit boxes are used for communicating. They're not inside the box. You don't need to talk inside of them. They're not in there. When you're listening for answers to a question you've already asked. Right now, we're going to make it easy and we're going to stick to questions that you already know the answers to. For example, what color is the barn? Okay? What color is the barn? You know you're listening for the color red. You're going to wait about 30 seconds. You're supposed to speak up when you get it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
So, again, make sure it's not a rhythm while I continue telling them. Yeah, make sure it's away from your phone. No, your phone would literally have to be on top of it in order for it to go through anything.
Yeah, it's not.
Just so you know. Look at that. Again, can't explain it. That's what it is. So, spirit boxes. Again, we're going to go through, you're going to ask a question, what color is a red barn? You're going to listen for 30 seconds. If you don't get an answer, you're going to ask the same question again. You're also going to stay away from non-yes or no questions. So we're going to, if somebody answers no, you obviously know that somebody's here. It works either way. Also, yes and no are they have S and O, two of the very common phonetic sounds in English language. We don't want to go with that either. You could say somebody here and they say houses and you think you heard the word yes. That's what we don't want. That's why we stay away from yes or no questions. We want definitive answers. Who's here? Oh, your name is Tom. Did you play with John? What was your number? And then we're waiting for a number because numbers don't lie. So if there's a Tom, number 42, that shows up, I can look that up. That's verifiable. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about lasers. Cars can be sensitive with their alarm systems. The lasers cannot touch the vehicles or the red barn windows. So we're going to keep them pointed straight down on the lasers in here. Pictures, where's the camera? Who's got the digital camera? So just, again, be mindful of people's cars. They don't like their cars being shown up in pictures. And, again, I have to take pictures out if there's too many license plates. What else do we have going on? Lasers, thermal camera. We want a nice full sweep of the whole lot. You have a bunch of different types of material in here. It's a great place to learn about thermodynamics. You have metal, asphalt, wood, brick, foliage, vehicles, rubber. You're going to see how all of those type of materials show up on your screen and how they fluctuate when you get something else in there. Temperature. Where's the temperature guy?
Mac.
Okay, so your red dot should be pretty much touching all of those same type of surfaces. If he's got a 73 degrees on the asphalt, you're going to verify that. It is going to be off by about 4, maybe 5 degrees total.
Oh, that's what that thing is. Okay, got you.
Yep. So you're seeing a little white dot right there.
Okay.
Lights will show up with a white outline around them to help you find anything, because it doesn't see in 3D. It's going to put white lines around things that it thinks are objects. So even if a blue ball were to go across my face, it's probably going to have a white outline on it because it thinks it's an actual object, because it doesn't see in three-dimensional the same way we do. It's going based off the e-signatures of the items around it. So, spirit box, or the EMF, I want you to pal around with that spirit box over there.
Hey.
So you guys are going to kind of separate a little bit, and I'm going to bounce around with all of you to make sure we are intact. And let's just, again, I don't want to get nasty with lasers, but they will get us in a lot of trouble. So the laser, go ahead and shine it again.
Again.
You're looking for things that actually shine through it. Yeah. You can't see the laser until something's actually there. Helping you see things that you can't normally see. Okay? So it's going to be a very quick glimmer. It's not going to be a, hey, here I am, I'm right here. It's literally going to shine real fast. You see how my hand flashed at you? That's what you're looking for in either laser. But now it's not there. Now you got a little bit. So we're also a little close to our parking meters. The electrical lines for that are underneath the sidewalks. So we have parking meters right over here, which could be giving off a little bit over to where you're at now. I do want to get you guys a little
I got
further
right
into
up
the
to
lot.
red. I
All
got
the way
right
up to the red?
orange.
That's good. So let's find another good hot spot. Let's try to get it up to the orange and the reds. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited about all blips, especially if they're random. But let's get you guys moving around this lot. We are going to stay within the lot. So
All right,
let's
Max,
get those
come here,
spirit
bud.
boxes turned up. Yours in particular gets a little loud for the phone.
Alright, so you're following me and you're pointing where I'm pointing. You should be pointing that red dot,
No,
right?
he said don't. He said unless he sees something blue.
Think Jed's freaked out?
What?
Think Jed's freaked out?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
The pictures this way. So any this relationship. Okay. Okay. Let's just say he's missing something. I need you to get a bunch of pictures
Okay,
of
man.
shooting basically where my phone is at. So you want to kind of shoot at it at an angle so that way we can actually see what's going on in between that laser. Does that make sense? Okay. So you're shooting things that we can't see. So in case something shows up there, I want a bunch of pictures to see if something actually shows up.
Right there.
Exactly. And again,
Straight ahead.
kind of glad it went to an adult. I get really
Right up along there. What's that say right now?
74.
Right down a little bit. Right there's the building. Right there.
74.
That's the street over there. Over there in there. What's that?
All 70. All the same things.
Just kind of see where I have to put all those pieces together. He might be a football player. Alright, get anything out of yours yet?
What about right there?
Where?
Right there.
76.
That's where the door is.
Yeah, I'm really pointing at it. Awesome.
Well, that's kind of different. Oh, keep that laser out of the window. Remember? Huh?
Use the box with the red lights. Tell us what your name is. They got the name Tom on theirs. Yeah.
All right. What about?
That's it. 73. All 73.
George. George? All right.
Wait, come here. Let's look at
George.
Still get.
What happened to you, George?
There you go. More people.
Go next to it. See right here? See where Will is?
76.
And then wow. Go ahead. I want to work with him on that camera. So you guys keep going with George there. All right. So are you guys getting the gist of what this is about?
I think like I see
What
like
happened to
that.
you, George?
So obviously his clothes are gonna be much cooler than his skin.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's not lining up.
So what's Max's be doing with that?
so with the
Laser.
so at that point,
laser beam.
so let's just test a couple of areas. Let's go close because we got a bunch of different types of material over this
Yeah.
way. Max, was it?
Yeah.
Go ahead and shoot the bricks for me.
Maybe or not? No.
Just shoot the bricks and
85.
get a 85. So what's your temperature on yours?
Mine's 89 out.
See how I told you it's going to be about 4 degrees off?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not synced up. There's no way to
Yeah,
sync them
okay.
because they're supposed to be natural. So really what you would do, and when I'm out on my own investigations, I always try to keep a person in the picture, because what happens when you put me in, things kind of fluctuate. Do you see where there's a hot and cold now? There
Yeah.
should be some blue in there instead of the
Oh,
orange
yeah.
wall. It should have fluctuated based on my temperature because I'm obviously warmer than the wall.
Yeah.
So at that point, you guys can kind of work together. You can keep him in the focus if you want to. That way you always have a point of reference. I mean, there's obviously a pretty large group here, so you can always pick somebody, but make sure somebody's in there if you can, because then it gives you a bigger, area to actually look at of where the temperatures are. So that way if something turns colder, if something blue turns black, black is the coldest that it's in the picture.
So what if you see something? What would it be? Black? Do you think?
What I caught in the past, so for example, let's go ahead and shoot the wall again.
Yeah.
And get a color scheme here. Okay, so we got some yellow in there. So what I saw, like let's say the whole wall was yellow, I would see a darker red go by because it's about 8 or 9 degrees cooler than the wall. So it's going to go in the opposite direction. Those are the figures that I saw. Now, when we get to the next spot, I'm actually going to show you something I caught just last week where I had 2 point of reference of 2 people walking past an orange wall, just like that, and their heads were orange and red. 20 seconds later, 2 other figures came the opposite direction and they were black.
Sweet.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
But again, you're really all about that red laser dot, and we only want to pull out the yellow guy when we want to try to
find
debunk
something.
something or prove it correct. So he's getting a lot of EMF over there, which is good.
All right. You see anything spooky here?
I said that there was
I'm good.
Come on. You can do it for half.
Guess fine, man.
No good. Yeah, they're coming now. They'll be here for
She was talking to someone.
One George.
Alright, now that everybody's got kind of the gist of how the devices work, you guys ready to go actually learn some history now? Alright,
Yeah.
let's go this way.
What happens if everyone kind of
Remember?
if they're just leaving for like the first week? Hey, I'm getting something.
You are. Tell them.
I don't have anything to talk to. No, it's just supposed to be.
Remember his name?
His name's George, and we think he choked
No,
on
Nick.
a pickle and died.
And the guy. Wasn't you supposed to tell him like when he saw something?
The ghost. Oh.
This is where that Irish bar used to be.
Where? Oh, right over there. Right?
Right here.
What? Did they tear it down?
Before they tore it down.
Alright,
Oh.
so I promise this will not be parking lots all night long, but again, your other tours, they want to show you something pretty because they don't have all of the cool little tools and gadgets that you guys have. I do want to keep you guys out of the drive because this is the only way in and out of this lot. So where are we? Do you know where we are, Christina?
Smiley Darcy's.
It used to be Molly Darcy's. What was it a couple hundred years before that?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Church.
Wasn't here then. I don't think.
You weren't here? She's not a ghost, right? This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion site. So who the heck was Eliza? Yeah. As soon as I say Eliza's name, it's usually when it starts. So Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. The son and the nephew were signers of our Constitution. So I'm not a big person into politics, so we're going to talk about Eliza. Eliza, usually that thing starts spiking whenever I bring Eliza's name up. Eliza actually married Charles so that she could stay here in the United States. She was very young. He wasn't. Dad was sick over in England. He thought he was dying. He wanted all of his kids home. She didn't want to go, so she got married. She stayed here. Dad gets better. Dad starts sending over gifts. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. Eliza was a botanist, which means she was into plants. Her garden actually would have been lined up right here with that first tree that you see behind the Five Church restaurant. So, indigo has a very deep gullah history here in Charleston, but Eliza's the one that made it profitable. Our rice plantations were going downhill, and we needed another cash crop to make sure that Charleston was going to still thrive. So they had to move, obviously, the plant into a plantation, and indigo makes blue dye that makes your blue jeans blue. We still use it today. It's a pretty big deal. So, that being said, actually it was just last week, I caught 2 cold spots here that were actual people. So I'm actually going to show you guys this quick video. I get a lot of activity out of this location. This video I caught was based off the thermal imaging camera, and it was over in that corner up there. There's obviously a wall around the entire perimeter of the whole parking lot. Let me bring this up for you guys so you guys can see what I'm looking for. I'm actually going to show you first, Luke, just because we were just talking about it.
Okay.
I wasn't going to, yeah, and it is red. Where is that page here?
Well, maybe there's a blue. Well, that's reflective.
Don't sign that it's black.
That's tinfoil.
Let it go. Let it go, man.
There it is.
Let's see.
So what we're looking for
Pottery.
in this guy
What is that?
is, let me put it sideways so you can see it. Screen. So in the first 5 seconds, you could see 2
I was
people.
about to say I got nothing.
It'll rewind for me. Okay, there's the wall up there in the corner. You're going to see 2 people go off to the right past that wall. Do you see those 2 heads?
Wow.
Okay, so those are people that are living. So let me show you the dead people. There's going to be 2 black heads that go the opposite direction.
Right.
Did you guys see it?
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking for on your type of camera.
Okay.
So that was caught just last week, and I only went up to that area away from my own little spirit box sessions because the couple that was up there said that they just saw a shadow that they couldn't explain. So I went up and I was trying to debunk things with them, and then all of a sudden I watched the video the next morning, and that's what I catch was the 2 black heads coming back up the wall that didn't make any sense whatsoever. I also get very distinct with my reverse spirit box. Comes up all the time. One particular night I get an EMF or the EVP that says baked beans breakfast. Told you Eliza was from England. The red spirit box told me I'll fix you, and then the digital spirit box with the word list gave me the word tea. So I'll fix you baked beans breakfast and tea. That is an actual breakfast over in England in the 1700s. A couple weird facts about Eliza that you guys can be asking your spirit boxes. Eliza was the 2nd wife named Eliza from Charles. Find out what her maiden name was if you don't already know. Since you actually live here. You can find out what happened to the mansion long before it was Molly Darcy's. And there was an apparition scene in there, but I don't normally tell that story because there's no documentation of it anywhere. And let's see, they had 4 children. Find out what the daughter's name was. You can ask that. You can ask anything about her death, where she's buried, how she died, how old she was. She's pretty open about telling you any of those things. While you guys are actually going about your spirit boxes and asking Eliza a bunch of questions, I'm going to be asking Charles a bunch of questions and see if I can get any verifiable evidence for you guys in that route. So I'm going to allow you guys to venture off. I will tell you up near the gate at times we do have a homeless person that will fall asleep. I thought we rectified that problem after the summer, but apparently not. So try to stay away with the lasers from there. The lasers need to stay below the walls and off of cars. Your EMF, you obviously want to stick with the other spirit box, just like I told you before. Pictures, again, no vehicles, none of us. Stick with the lasers. Take pictures of the lasers. Nice full sweep from you. And you're going to basically learn how car thieves do it, because this is what they do. They actually go through parking lots and see which cars have been here the longest. So you can tell that by the temperature of the vehicles. And you'll be able to see that because they start to cool off. But again, with your red dot, same principle. You're going to be all the different materials that are in here. Be careful with your lasers in here. You will get a false positive just because the ground is uneven. It's different types of mud and gravel and all kinds of things. So you might have something reflect back on you and it came from the ground, not in between your hand and the ground. So just gotta be mindful of that. All right, I'm gonna set you guys free for about 8 or 10 minutes, and I will follow up and bounce around just like I did with the last place, but we're gonna spend more time here to see what actually happens. Where's EMF? So, take pictures with lights on. That's not always one. See the light bulb? I told you about that. You didn't listen. Well, hang hang on. I want everybody to see. Stop right where you're at and hold that up like you're going to take a selfie with it. Is it blinking in the same time frame or just a little bit after? It's usually within 2 frames if it's blinking at all.
Yeah.
So, interesting like that. Sometimes it's a strobe light, it just keeps flickering. Other nights it looks like that for a week.
You can walk?
It's good to get out there.
Yep, walking. Here, ghost. What were the ghosts that were calling on here? Max, come on, dude. Don't be like that. Smell fish, don't you?
Cars that have been here for a while.
Yeah, I think so. Hey, just enjoy it, okay? What? You just enjoy it. I'm not saying you have to believe it or not. Just enjoy it. Look at there. Yeah, look at the dark spots. Charles. Hulu. You ever seen those shows on TV? Ghost Hunters. Huh? Yeah, look at that. Something just went flying by in the dark. Yeah, something. Maybe it was a draft of cold air followed by a car.
Maybe a ghost.
Would have been. Should I be looking at the temperature or the actual just difference in colors?
Both.
Both?
And again, if you have a hard time with it, that's what I'm here for in the morning. So
Yes.
I do review it and some of the hot spots. So I'm really waiting for, like he heard names over there. I'm definitely going to be looking at the Red Barn lot so far. I know that much.
Okay.
Again, it's also why I record everything with an audio, so that way I know where the hot spots were, because the other spirit box doesn't record anything. So that was obviously a car that went by. So those should be... That's a weird... What is that spot that's moving with your camera movement? Go ahead and go to the left again, just pan slowly. See that green? What is that? It almost looks like an icon.
Oh yeah, that?
Yeah. That's weird. I don't think I've ever seen it. Maybe because your thumb's on the screen. Yep.
There you go.
Interesting. See? You taught me something. Don't hold your thumb on the screen. I was like, what is that green box? I've never seen green come through on here. The green's not even in that spectrum of color. But you can also see like the blue on there on the ground. See how that almost looks like it's water? That's only because that there's mud underneath this gravel. Mud's going to be way cooler than gravel.
Okay.
So that's why the blue shows up. She got it. I mean, nice slow movements.
This thing's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's actually meant for either mechanics or electricians, plumbers. It helps them find leaks. So a mechanic will put it over an engine.
What's it called? Just like a thermo?
It's a FLIR thermal imaging camera.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I went with the real deal on that one. Just because I wanted to be able to have legitimacy with what we caught. There are certain apps and whatever that I found that I'm like, none of this is real. It's bogus. You know, it doesn't give me enough color spectrum. It doesn't show me leaks. Like I tested it around the house, you know, just making sure it worked.
But ask a question. If it glows, then it's true. If it's a yes.
So you're doing the right thing. You're trying to get communication out of that. Is that what you're trying to do?
I'm asking if it like Fortnite.
No, yes or no?
Yes, it's blinking no.
Eliza does like Fortnite.
I think she said no. Pretty clearly.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Mine said yes, though. Eliza, do you like yes or no questions?
I'm getting something.
Let's take a few minutes, just me and
Hey Eliza, are you making the light blank?
No.
Eliza? Fire. You got fire. Yeah, fire.
What? Yeah, the house burning down.
That's cool. We didn't ask that, didn't we?
It is a little bit spooky, these, like the cars that go by. You see, like, they look like dark shadows that go by. Watch. You can watch right in here when a car goes by.
That's your favorite word.
Pretty cool.
What do you think your favorite word is chapel?
Either side of suicide.
Well, what do you think, Hank? Spooking up any ghosts, dude?
I don't know.
You say this guy's named Charles, see if he's around here?
Carl.
El Chapo. How about El Chapo?
I found out if I say penis, it blinks.
Penis?
Penis.
Maybe it's a girl. What the fuck? It's down there. Down there. Here, zoom right through there. Right there.
It's all 7:75.
If I was at home,
Max, come here. Look at this. Goes from 80 to 74, 75, back to 80, so straight down there. Right there. Down there, by that truck.
Hey guys,
76.
kind of collaborate here for a quick second. Anything weird on the camera, guys?
I think you get shot more.
So those windows are going to be much colder than the engine, so that makes more sense. Did you hear anything else on your besides the word fire?
I'm pretty right now on suicide.
Suicide? Suicide's up in here. However, there is another building nearby that I'm looking into was a recent suicide in the past few years. So I'm not surprised that that could be something there. I'm getting more and more from that. Getting that members
This
of the
place should
family.
never say a word that starts with a P.
It's a good relevance, but the same token, that you have to think of that as almost like a force field would have to come and touch that. So whenever you're saying a word that starts with P, like peanut, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to make it split. So that is not scientific data. But I appreciate the effort. We were asking Charles what month he was born in. I was waiting for the month October to come through. And also keep in mind that we have several points of audio in spirit boxes and ways of communicating here. So if I ask a question, a lot of times the answer can go to either one of your spirit boxes, the audio in there, which we won't know until tomorrow morning, or my audio here. We just can't hear it in real time. So a lot of times I'll say how many people are with me, and then somebody will turn around and say, hey, I heard the number 9. And I'll say, well, I just asked how many people are here. And there's 9 of us. So you guys had 10, 2 dropped out. By the way, we'll have to talk about tickets. But again, there's 9 of us total, so that would make complete sense. So we're gonna actually go up to Lodge Alley. That's about 4 blocks from here, about a 5-minute walk. Lasers are definitely a no-go on East Bay Street. Your EMF is gonna go crazy because of the parking meters, so you can almost ignore it. It's definitely a no laser zone. I'll say that yet again. Please keep filming. Spirit boxes, I'm listening for names. You can take as many pictures as you want to when we're out on East Bay Street.
Have you taken any pictures yet, Hank?
Nothing yet. Oh, you gotta get like when those laser grids are going. Even though
So
we're
you
not.
just take him across this, even though
Yeah,
they're showing?
right. So we don't know. We could, because you and I are talking right now, and something could pass by, and he took the picture and caught it. So that's really what that's about. It's kind of verifying what you missed. That's another reason why I have the thermometer guy going on with the camera. So, but again, take as many pictures as you want as we walk through. I will have you kind of lead when we get to Lodge Alley, because I try to get 2 pictures of that going into it when it's empty. So I do get weird orbs and all kinds of things that kind of kick up over there. So, names I will explain once we get to Lodge Alley. It's definitely a mask up zone, especially the restaurants like to have their tables outside, so I'll have my mask on as well. So, you guys ready? Sorry there wasn't much here, but maybe something will come up on the spirit boxes that I listen to in the morning. It usually does. Check things in real time.
You were sitting out here with me, you and Luca, I think. sitting
Yeah.
opposite the-
Yeah, I remember that bar.
You just right out here?
Good bar. done yet, but they're talking about needed to look up some real ghosts.
He does seem to truly believe it, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. Hell, I mean, you know.
I would suggest we try it in our house, but then
No way.
kids if we find something.
No.
Or me.
Hell no.
Yeah, it was. It's still on the map.
These things are pretty funky, like I like to get one.
I can take my phone.
Into the alley and saw him taking pictures of
Which gadget do you have?
The latest thing about it. No shit.
Huh?
Good shit.
So is this what you guys thought you were getting yourselves into? You had no idea what this was going to be.
No idea.
I thought I was gonna get
Well, actually, I can give you all the answers to the questions over at the Pink Dimension site. So, Eliza died at the age of 70. I think I mentioned that before. In Philadelphia of breast
Looking
cancer.
for ghosts, dude.
So that's also where she's buried. So the fact that we get so much activity from her just kind of goes to show you when she's answering questions for me down here. People don't hang out in their graves. I think one of you guys asked me, are we going to a cemetery? Charleston's one giant cemetery. Enough death and everything went on here that we're walking on somebody's grave pretty much at all times. And to be honest with you, when I investigate cemeteries, I don't get much activity at all. So that's why we don't actually hit or walk through any specific cemeteries. So if you were dead, do you want to hang out where you're buried? No, you're going to go to the place that you love the most, even if it's as far away as Charleston from Philadelphia. So that's kind of my reasoning behind that. So where are you now? Did you guys hear any names, by the way? Nothing on yours? What about on yours? No, well, you were talking to me, so we weren't really paying attention. So the reason why I say names, because this actually used to be a street where people lived. I have the entire list of every person that's ever lived on this street, and I actually have their occupations as well. So when a name does pop up, and I do get two very common names, Benjamin and John, both lived here in 1801. The two buildings that we're leaning on weren't here. They had shotgun houses here. So you shoot a bullet through the front and they went out the back. That's how small they were. The people up here were also considered lower class. So again, the peninsula was skinnier. The smell of low tide coming in probably wouldn't have been a very pleasant place to stay. They found some of their silverware, their like tools in between these clay bricks that you're walking on. They consider these people lower class. This is also where the Masons used to meet. So that kind of gives you a date and time for that. Within pre-1790, when the Masons would come down here on a hot sticky night in Charleston, and they would talk business in suits and suspenders. So it gets pretty hot and muggy down in this alley as it is, but there would have been no building. So it's called what it is. So I do get shadow people down here. I did ask for a couple of pictures. We're going to get a couple more pictures. When we leave, you're going to be the last one out. Pictures going down this way. Take as many pictures along the way as you want to. I get this weird green orb that shows up from time to time. It's almost solid in color. Whenever I do get pictures of any kind of data or evidence that I can't debunk right away, it goes to my wife. My wife is actually a major in photography, just like I'm a major in English, and she goes through all of my pictures and tells me what's real and what she can't figure out. So that green light has shown up here several times in different areas at different angles. I have no idea what it is. I've been down here day and night trying to figure out where that green light could have came from, trying to debunk it. Can't do it. Can't find it. And it's almost solid green. It's the weirdest thing. And it just kind of shows up out of nowhere. So again, as many pictures as you want to take in here, it's perfectly fine. The building behind me, this is the Lodge Alley Inn. It's obviously named after Lodge Alley where we're standing. Every hotel down here has claims of ghosts. None of them give me free rooms to verify. So I'm not going to even talk about what goes on, they think goes on inside these buildings. So hopefully in January when I start knocking on doors again, when they're slower, I should be able to get a couple of free rooms to do my investigations. So it's a really cool, creepy alley. Not many tourists come down here, as you can see, and not everybody knows the history down here either. But that list of residents is key. That's why I wait for those names. Benjamin and John show up all the time. So we're going to walk through pretty slowly, get nice full thermal pictures for us. You're going to grab a couple of regular pictures for us. The lasers, when we get to the end, we're going to be residential. So the lasers will be a no-go and kind of keep those spirit boxes at an audible level only. So, are we ready to kind of walk through the rest of this?
Hey, I have a question. Do we just, like this thing, do I just keep it like where a human would normally have walked? Or like, could it be up in the air?
Go
Or
wherever you want.
where do you normally see it?
So, I've actually, up there at that half wall to the left,
Yeah.
that's where I caught the shadow folks before, where I was telling you it was a yellow wall and the orange figure kind of walked by.
Yeah.
That's where I found that, and I was able to find pictures in the same timestamp that had a weird shadow I couldn't explain. So it was all within that same 30 seconds of time, and I was able to depict something going on.
But like, it should be like
Yeah,
this.
I
eye
would just go
level,
left to right.
Yeah.
Sky is really not going to give us much, but
Right.
you got people in the way here, which is good. You
Right.
want that thermal
Right.
piece. I mean, the hoodie's probably not helping, but you got his legs in the picture, I'm sure. But we get all kinds of weird stuff down here. And I just got the word instructor because I'm... Sorry, I will always try to relate something to the words that show up on my screen.
I got
Well, this alley, when something does happen, and you just have something from over here, or something flipped, I get a little excited. But see how steady it is? That's what we don't want. That means it's coming from somewhere else, and that big red flip just came from my phone. So, but again, I would have to hold it there, because my phone is going to send out a signal every 5 to 15 seconds, so that way it can stay within range. So, but down here, if something does happen, I get excited, because I don't normally get anything. It's not the Pinky Mansion site where it just goes berserk the whole time.
Are there any like words, keywords that you say or anything?
Down here,
Yeah.
I normally get those two names quite a bit.
Which ones are they?
Benjamin and John.
Benjamin and John.
And Benjamin will come up in different versions. It'll be Ben, Benjamin, Benji. I've heard it all, and it's
Okay.
all relative to the name Ben. So,
Okay.
but it's always interesting when it comes up. Probably, I would say twice a month. I mean, I do 2 tours a night. You do the math, 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
So twice a month. That to me is pretty active. Over the past year that I've been getting the names Benjamin and John down here, and they're together. The fact that they both lived here at the same time doesn't give me last names, just those first names.
Do you do these ghost walks yearly?
I do them all year round, 6 nights a week. This is my job, buddy. This is what I do. This is me going to work. All right, we'll kiss the wife. Have a good night. I'm off to work. Go ghost hunting.
Wait, how many books are you writing?
I have 7 books published, and I'm working on a new one for my master's degree. This should be done this time next year. Fingers crossed, or else I don't graduate. That's interesting for your audio.
Yep. Like, we ain't coming down this hall. You people.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so you know, you were taking this job way too seriously.
Oh, Hank. How else are we going to catch these ghosts on the film if we don't tape them? Right? William, Ben,
Me.
John.
I have nothing actually. I get 91.
So, which way did you guys come in? Obviously not to this.
Well, we went to college, so we didn't get
I meant like when we came into town.
Oh, okay, I got you. Alright, getting us a couple pictures there, bud?
Yep.
Cool. See, you gotta take a picture now. Yep. I point out the tourist stuff. Alright guys, so I tell the story of the alley out here. This is a really popular ghost tour stop, and I don't like to be interrupted 15 times by a group walking by. As I'm sure you guys already guessed, most of them groups are going to be at 20 people, so we got to wait for all 20 to go by. So anyway, the story is this place used to be called Dueler's Alley. It's Philadelphia Alley now. And when duels became illegal and stupid, we had to name it after a city that helped us with one of our many fires. Philadelphia was one of those cities. So, Dueler's Alley, we all tell the same story, but I want you guys to kind of keep in mind that hundreds, if not thousands, of duels have occurred here. So, but we all tell the one story because we can verify what is actually true based on the devices we have and obviously the records of the duel. So there was a doctor, his name was Joseph Brown Ladd. Sorry, you're like so focused on me, man. I love it. He's like, everybody else is playing with stuff, and he's just like,
White on me. I'm listening.
So his name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He moved down here from Rhode Island. Kind of keep those initials of the state in mind because they come up again later with our devices. So Rhode Island is RI. So he was supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents, and the lawyer handling the money said, "You two aren't getting married. I think he's just after your money. Send the doctor away." So the doctor moves down here to Charleston. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. Funny how close I was going to get. start shouting. So anyway, the coachman set him up. Somebody walking by named Ralph Isaacs with the initials RI says, "You don't want to stay here. Let me take you somewhere else." He takes him to 59 Church Street, which is about a mile and a half from here. So that's also haunted. I've gotten a little bit of activity outside that house, so it's very interesting. But anyway, the two become friends. The doctor's practice starts to go up, and he's making lots of money, and Amanda's going to be moving down soon. So he's a pretty happy guy. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. So you can Google the Whistling Doctor and read the very full detailed story of this. So Ralph, on the other hand, was just a regular Charlestonian. He wasn't making a whole lot of money, so when they used to go see plays together, they actually had to sit in different areas of the theater. It's kind of like going to see a movie with your friends, but they make more money than you, so you have worse seats. So they used to have to talk about those plays on the way home. They went to go see Richard III one night. The rumor on that is that it was at Dock Street Theater. I don't have verification of that, but anyway, they're talking about Richard III on the way back. The doctor loves the new actress, and Ralph doesn't. They start arguing about the actress, and then it turns into a big insult party on the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home. Obviously, the doctor gets very angry, they argue, they go their separate ways. So, what happens next? I told you Ralph was from here. He decides that he's going to put a big ad in the paper about what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston, basically calling him a jerk right in front of everybody. So, the doctor rebuttals with, "Let's go to Dueler's Alley and settle this." Now, normally the loser of a duel is what?
Dead.
Shot dead.
Right. So that loser would normally go through the doorway on that other wall, through the courtyard. No idea. I got stuck every time. They go through the courtyard and then over to the cemetery over at St. Philip's. They drop him in the pre-dug grave and go celebrate the winner with a drink. That didn't happen with the doctor. They came down here. Took back to back 20 paces. The doctor turns. He shoots his gun in the air. He didn't want to kill Ralph. He just wanted to prove a point that he thought their argument was stupid. He was willing to forgive. Ralph took 2 shots below the knees. The doctor drops but didn't die. So his friends pick him up and they didn't take him through the courtyard. They took him home to 59 Church Street. He died 10 days later. What's the moral of the story? Don't get married to somebody named Amanda. No, I'm kidding. The moral of the story is you can hear the doctor's whistles as you walk through this alley. Now, it's a little breezy tonight, but normally this is a very, very quiet area when there's no helicopters hovering, even during the daytime. It's the most beautiful spot. I love Philadelphia Alley, morning, day, or night, doesn't matter. When you walk through here, it's going to be very faint when you guys are listening on your audio. This is why we use so many different pieces of communication. We do have hecklers in town, as I'm sure you guys can imagine. They're going to walk by and give you a fake whistle. There's a fake one for you on your audio. That's not what you're listening for. It's going to be very faint. It'll probably be in a small melody. I only have 2 that I cannot debunk of somebody walking by and heckling me, because I'm a ghost hunter. They also say you can hear gunshots. I've never caught gunshots walking down this alley, so we'll see what we actually capture. The spirit boxes, I do stay away from you guys if you're going to listen. Obviously, turn those spirit boxes down if we're cutting through another tour. I don't want to disrespect them, even though they're not fans of me. So, I take their business. They're not happy. The other piece of history that comes out of this alley is the bricks are going to get older as we keep walking. The bricks up here were renewed and refreshed in the 1990s. They're going to look a little sharper, have closer edges. As we get towards the end, we have sun-dried bricks from slave kids. We have their fingerprints and 1 full handprint at the end of this alley. It's in 3 places in Charleston. Drayton Hall is the other one, and I can't remember the third. So if you look it up, Google handprints in Charleston, you'll get an article that tells you all 3 locations. But that handprint, the thumb actually overlaps into the next brick. The interesting thing about that is if you think about it, that brick had to go in wet before the kid slammed his hand into it, almost kind of like a screw you, I don't want to do this anymore. So it's an interesting piece to really look at. I don't like to boast like it's a proud moment, but it is something part of our history, unfortunately. So as kids, they had to turn the bricks for us. They weren't fired in brick ovens. It is outside somebody's home, so I will point it out with my toe and continue walking. If we want pictures of it, by all means, take the picture quickly. That person's house, and we don't want to be disrupting anybody's life down here. Just because we like to go ghost hunting and look around Charleston.
Whose handprint was it?
It's a slave kid. There's no EMF that comes out of it. Again, it's one of those gravesite type things. Like what kid wants to hang out where he was a slave? So I mean, we don't get anything out of it. It's just one of those nuggets of history that I dove into, and I was like, I walk over this thing every night. I need to know more about it, because I mean, I do get pretty mixed groups, that want to know more about that kind of history. So, especially when I got kids on the tour, they should see things like that. They realize how easy life is now, how we've overcome quite a few things. So, let's get that creepy. If you guys want to take a look at the death gate.
The slave kids, there's kids that are slaves.
Yeah, like let's say they were, like their parents were slaves and they were born. They were born into slavery.
That's what I thought.
Just believe in your brother.
So this whole alley is called Jewelers Alley? Huh?
Hey, take that one real quick. Go.
People.
So I had to dive in and find out why it was here. And that's the reason. I call it the death gate, but it just makes it easy to remember.
That one? That's
Yeah.
where they took the people that died from duels?
Yep. So the house that they took the doctor to, they obviously went up the street, but that steeple you guys were all taking pictures of, that's Church Street.
Yeah.
So it's about a mile down that way, and I think it's called the Rose something house now, because there's been several stories that have happened out of there, but it still has a historical marker on the front. 59 Church Street. It's easy enough for me to remember. So
What if we do our house for paranormal?
we're gonna actually walk down this way, and
What if someone died in our house?
Do you want to know that?
Yes. For sure they did.
way back here, we'll have this steeple in the background with that as well. So if anybody else wants a picture of that, make sure your flash is on so you can actually read the plaque.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. Be like a racehorse.
Again, I felt like it was one of those random words, but when things come up twice, I think the guy's
Doesn't that poster look like
now
a
it's
face
telling me
without a flash on it?
Yeah.
I think it's a security camera poster though.
So it's almost kind of like it directed me to see what's actually happening. I'm going to text her real quick, but real quick, well, a few weeks ago, I walked through here and I smelled fruit. I'm like, this smells really, really weird. The group was behind me, there's a small group, and I was like, let me see if somebody else smells it. Somebody walks up behind and says, I smell passion fruit. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's grapefruit. Then we're trying to find where the smell was coming from. Couldn't find where it was coming from. Then the word Thai shows up. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Go home and Google it. Southern Living's Lost Recipes of Charleston. Grapefruit pie. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Wow. That sounds disgusting. Like, who's going to eat grapefruit pie? But again, it's just one of those things where you dive in, I learn something new every time. And it's a weird story for me to tell when I'm down. But I am going to text my wife real quick.
Justin.
She's calling.
Those are words coming through on this FM frequency.
That's, again, I look at it as spirits can manipulate any type of electronic, so I don't care where the signal's coming from. If it's giving me an opportunity to see words on here, and they did upgrade it so I have more words come through, but it's one of those, it says it has FM frequencies. If it's using it, fine, great. It's still giving me some kind of static noise for a ghost to speak to. If it comes through in a word format, then it comes through in a word format.
Where's it at?
Is this a hand crank too?
It's probably finger swipes. It's right. You can see where the thumb overlaps.
I don't know that's a handprint. Oh wait.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I was looking at it upside down.
Same size.
Me in a past life.
My hand was the same size as that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was the guy that worked at the gym. We were talking a lot about like.
Can't place his face right.
I remember this now. I know that there's ghosts down through here.
Resources or it would be a verifiable outside resource so you guys can read more about each of these locations. So we got one more building we're going to check out, guys. It's actually the Wagner building, which is the big brick building over there. It's condos in the back now, so yes, people live there, and they're turning it into a wedding reception area in the front. So good luck to those receptions, because that place is cursed. I don't know who's going to be going there. I know I wouldn't have my wedding reception there. So anyway, this used to be part of our cotton industry. It was a big warehouse in the back, and then the offices for it were in the front. So again, across from there is the Venue and Pineapple Park. Those things wouldn't have been there. The water would have been much closer. George was the last person who had it as, his name was George Poirier, as a cotton warehouse. He inherited the business from his dad, but he had no clue what he was doing. Silver spoon kid, clueless, had no idea. Got himself into a bunch of debt. And then we also had the boll weevil in town, which is a bug that eats cotton. So he really had to get rid of these crops in order to kind of save himself from these debts. So what's he do? He sells it off to the British because he doesn't want to sell this bad crop over to the Americans where his debts are already anyway. So the British ship rolls up, they unload it with horse and buggy from these cool garage doors you see back here, and it goes out to the dock. They load up the ship, and somebody gets too close to it with a pipe. The whole ship goes up in flames. Everybody on the ship dies, either by drowning or by fire. George watches the whole thing from the second story window. Your online stories will tell you third story. All of the evidence that I have from all of the tours that I do through this place always give me the number 2 or the word second. So that's why I'm sticking with the second story. Now, the interesting about this is it was the newspaper kid that found the body the next day. What happened was George got depressed once he seen everything was up in flames and his father's business is gone. He doesn't have enough money. The pay off his debts. So he decides he's going to pile up all the furniture, swing a noose from the rafters, and then hang himself. The newspaper kid the next morning is when it found him and went back to the newsroom to go report it. So they say you can see the shadow of a swinging corpse from the window where he hung himself. So your camera cannot see through glass. That is a fact about thermal imaging. It looks at glass as an object. He's going to test it now because he didn't realize it all night. And really what we're looking for on that is you're going to notice all windows pretty much turn up blue on these buildings. We're looking for those windows to either turn a darker blue or a black, which means something is influencing it from the other side. That's what we're looking for. What is that saying?
Something nothing's real.
It's your.
Is it?
Ben, is that your phone?
Oh, I thought... See? I'm attentive.
Wait, you know how you said like the ghosts wouldn't hang out where they died, so why would he be up there?
It's not necessarily where he died. That's the tragedy. So this guy, he's not an intelligent ghost. He's what I call a residential residual. So he's just hanging out there because that's where he died. That's where the biggest tragedy for him was. So wherever he's buried is not where he's buried. It's where he died, the tragedy. Now Eliza is what I call an intelligent ghost. This one would be a residual. Right, exactly. So I do get another ghost that likes to tag along with this place. 2 blocks away from where we came out of Philadelphia Alley, the other place is Boogie's Porch. Boogie is a dog. We're not getting the dog to come through. Don't get me. Don't get excited about that. It was Zoe St. Amand where that was her house. She died in the house by falling down the stairs. So we get the word stairs. We get the name Zoe. And if you ask Zoe what her house looks like now, she doesn't say restaurant because that's a lot to muster up. It's 3 full syllables. We get spoon, fork, table, eat, those kind of things. So Zoe likes to tag along. Sometimes we'll hear from George. Sometimes we don't hear from either. This last stop is actually a hit or miss. The other weird thing about this building, where's the thermal gun? You have it. So do you see the peak at the top of this building, right here in the back? Right. So in the front of the building, it's covered in stone. Just below that stone, about 5 feet, is another stone inlaid into the bricks. Now, on a breezy night like this, I would expect it to be about a 15-degree difference coming in off the water. Normally, without the breeze, it'd be about 7 to 12, but we're going to go up to 15. I've seen that go up to a 30-degree difference with no explanation on a nice, cool, easy night. So I tested it, obviously, night after night, trying to see what's going on there. But the nights where I actually get a big difference like that is usually where I hear a lot on the spirit boxes. So it's kind of my barometer of finding out, do I need to listen to Christina's spirit box a little bit more in detail in the morning because we had a higher difference in the temperature. So we're going to test that when we get to the front. We're going to definitely get some pictures from you in the front on the second story, and we want a nice good sweep of the second story windows when we get up there as well.
Okay.
So spirit boxes we definitely want to listen to. Lasers are pretty much out of the game, except for yours. We're going to use yours at the front with the other laser grids. Sorry, but we've got a pretty busy area here. So let's go see what we can capture after this car moves. We're right against the property. on the rounded edge. And then
Where do you put this?
so for you, we're going to go all the way up to the stone up here. We do have a 22-degree difference on the two stones.
What did you say the greatest was?
30. So again, it's a little bit more breezier up here, so it's kind of a touch and go.
You said people live in these?
This is going to be the wedding reception.
Oh,
Where we
nice.
passed it is going to be the condos. Well, that's already condos. People do live back there. So I'm going to let this run for a few more minutes. We're going to let you wrap up, get the screening on there, and then Christina's square box. At least the history part. It was good. I liked it. I know it's a little different. I take you to weird spots, but that's the whole point of Ghost Hunter. It's kind of abandoned areas. Yeah. It was 22 degrees difference. See the white stone? Again, pretty breezy out here, so it's kind of a touch and go. It was 22 degrees difference. So again, I would expect probably 15 to 18 coming in off the water, but it's a little bit more breezier up here than I thought. So I'm still going to listen to Christina's spirit box pretty heavily during this time, and we were all talking, so I didn't really get a chance to listen in on mine and kind of see where we were. So I'll definitely dive in. I'm pretty excited about the. Didn't we hear something over at? We heard the fire over at the Pinckney Mansion site.
Suicide, I think.
Suicide was another one, but that's again relative to another investigation I'm looking at. Deal. Yeah, yours wasn't recording, but you also heard the word Tom, didn't you? So I'll dive into Tom and see if anything else pops up around that on the other spirit boxes. And again, I hope you guys all had fun. You guys were a pretty quiet group. Sometimes I get a little